Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. And while it's kind of a lighter release week as far as the number of titles, there are some really big hitters this week. So it's a bunch of good stuff to dig into and read. And we went with, you went with one of the most subscribed to books in our store.
I've got Batman number 4 here. And it's funny, you were talking about yesterday, it feels like this one just kind of like keeps coming out, like it's like...
I feel like it comes out all the time.
Which is interesting, considering we keep selling out of it, too.
I know, yeah. Yep, because we just got some, third or fourth printings of number 1?
Yeah, because we've got a couple left of one of the other printings. We got some issue 3s left. I think we're totally out of issue 2.
Yeah, which is weird because I ordered a ton of issue 2, so... I don't, Anyway, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Part of the thing.
But yeah, so this issue, we kind of get introduced to what's going to be one of the main antagonists of this run, the Minotaur. And his whole thing is he's kind of like figured out a way to take a bunch of like the big like crime groups of Gotham and kind of like unite them basically financially. So that way like everyone's kind of like copacetic with each other. Like no one's like trying to cause chaos. The problem is, someone does cause some chaos, and now it's up to him to kind of like put his house in order and bring everyone to be like, hey, knock it off.
Right.
Stop shooting at each other, or else none of you get any money.
Right. Yeah. This plan either really works because we're all invested in it, or it falls completely apart, and I won't let that happen.
Yeah.
So terrible things will happen first.
Oh, yeah. Terrible things do happen.
Yeah. He's a bad man.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I just, his whole like aesthetic, I really like. We've talked about this before with some of the other issues of this run. Like this one really feels like, because Jimenez has been on the book for a while now, art wise, but this particular one, it really feels like he's going to kind of like cut loose and really establish his own feel for Gotham. Yeah, and you got like a little of that here and there with some of the other times he was on the book, but a lot of it was also still kind of like very much that like Gotham you've seen before, like a Gotham that like. You kind of like when you picture your head, it's like, oh yeah, everything's just kind of like grinding, there's smoke everywhere, and there's still that here, but there's also like there's a couple of sections where it's kind of like checking out different little like boroughs and neighborhoods. I
really like that, yeah.
And it really gives you this feeling of just like, oh yeah, there's like different like it's because like if you go to somewhere like New York, like Brooklyn has a different feel versus Manhattan kind of thing. Yeah. Like it's not all just like one continuous like feel for the city.
Yeah, one homogenous city.
Yeah. And so like he's doing a really good job of establishing that here. On the more Batman side of things, we've got him kind of investigating similarly like what's going on with the events that the Minotaur's like dealing with. Anarchy shows up, haven't seen him in a bit. Yep.
Although Batman's kind of running behind on all of this.
Yeah.
He's playing catch up.
Yeah, because like part of the whole thing with the Minotaur's plans is like if we do this right, they're just not going to notice like what we're up to until it's too late, till like the whole system's embedded and can't really be like uprooted. Yeah. Because spoiler alert, this may be someone else that's like pretty powerful in Gotham that he's in business with, which makes it a little hard to kind of get the crime out when the person in charge of getting the crime out is involved with the crime.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then on top of it. Batman/Bruce is also trying to figure out what's going on with his company and the research and the Crown of Swords and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So he's got a few things on his plate.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of plates being spun. There's also, like right now, it's kind of open season on Batman with the GCPD because it's been fabricated to look like he shot an officer. Right. And there's a kid that's got evidence that's like, well, that's not really true. So now he's like trying to like figure out a way to kind of like get that out there. And that whole subplot, I love the like newspaper they go to. It's just like, it really feels like, oh, this is supposed to be kind of be like Gotham's like Daily Planet in a way. Just like the whole setup. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, because like there's been other series that have kind of delved into the thing of just like, oh yeah, Gotham like has to have like its own like newspaper thing. Like that's got to be a big part of it. But like, I like the way they're handling it here.
Where else would Vicky Vale work?
Yeah. But yeah, no, like it's a book where there's a lot going on, but still I love that structure that like so far each issue has been like, if you want to just hop in, you get a fairly complete story. Yeah. Like you're not having to worry about too much. It kind of gets you caught up on what's been happening really well.
Yeah. like classic comic book stories where they didn't worry about putting out a new number one every handful of years because they just figured kids were going to pick up Batman because it's Batman. And if you've got issue number 386, you're just going to read it and figure it out, But no, I really, really, really like Jimenez's work on this book.
Just like the way he does action, the way he does like just layouts for just normal conversation scenes is really well done.
And with having him and Mora do a lot of the heavy lifting at DC right now, it's just such a beautiful style, and it flows really well out of like when they had Pat Gleason doing a lot of the Superman stuff and whatever. Like this is in that similar, I would put them all in kind of a similar category as far as stylistically. But it is just gorgeous. And it transfers so well from both that kind of lighter, airier Gotham during the day to the dark, spooky,
and that's the other thing.
The Wayne Manor scene at night, he's just able to capture so many different moods.
And that's the other thing, like something I really appreciated him and Fraction doing is this wanting to like play with like how these different points in a day can like affect the story. Because there is like a lot of daytime sequences because you've got to do like the Bruce Wayne stuff. You've got to do, which I love. Like Fraction really has, I feel like, a good feel on how you differentiate writing like Bruce and Batman, because Bruce, he's got this kind of like charming sound of like not exactly like airheaded, but like he's like he just feels like how you'd expect this kind of like rich playboy guy to feel, where he's just like, oh, he's not really like a serious guy, or and then like Batman shows up and he's like very in your face, but like not like too like over the top. He's just it has almost fitting for him at this point. It's like this almost kind of like gruff like father of just like, okay, tell me what you did wrong.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Yeah,
it's not the gravelly voice.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
I wonder if any of that was intelligent.
is any of it in the movies? And I think that's an interesting like shift again, right? Because over different eras, your superheroes kind of take on different qualities of the time, right? Or they're the Batman of that era, and that sort of Christopher Nolan, gravelly voice, being really dark and brooding all the time. Kind of Batman has been the Batman for quite a while. But prior to that, we had kind of your Batman the Animated Series, where you've got Bruce Wayne is kind of disarming and charming, and people dismiss him because they're like, yeah, he's a nice guy or whatever, but he's pretty, he's kind of, like you say, he's not a serious person. So he's able to get information by using that Bruce Wayne persona to be able to, catch people off guard, and they're not expecting that, oh, hey, this is the world's greatest detective pumping me for information right now, which he's actively doing. I know that that's kind of a weird comparison to make with Batman the Animated Series, but it does kind of feel like there's the Bruce Wayne persona, there's the Batman persona, and then there's the real Bruce Wayne that's in the middle there that's playing both of these parts. He's not more Batman right now like he was for, I don't know, a good 15 years?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just really liking the combination of the crew on this book. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't really have a segue.
Oh, all right. Well, I will go this week with Doctor Strange #1. And if you're saying, hey, wait a minute, how many Doctor Strange #1s have there been? The answer is a lot. Guy cannot keep a series going for very long, but they also just love rebooting everything with a new number. So we end up with Derek Landy and Fiorelli on this book.
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with Fiorelli. We probably should have had this conversation before so I could look knowledgeable.
They've done some stuff here and there. It's been a lot of kind of like villain issues. They have a fair amount of like X-Men stuff. They're actually another artist that I followed before they like started getting regular work. Sure. So again, it's cool when I get to see those people like actually get to like jump to the big boy leagues and like do a launch like this.
Kind of that there's this trend that I'm seeing where a lot of European artists seem to have kind of a heavy anime influence. And particularly in like the eyes and the facial structures here, you can kind of see the kind of, larger eyes, the kind of, streamlined. I didn't want to say simple, but streamlined kind of art where there still can be a lot of detail and whatever, but like, it's not that Jim Lee overly crosshatched.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say overly. Sorry, Jim Lee.
I mean,
heavily crosshatched.
I think at times you could argue it's overly.
Well, I think his inkers would argue that every time. But, so what happened to Strange? Strange got bamboozled out of, is that an okay phrase to use? I guess I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, I think that's probably
out of the Sorcerer Supreme title by Dr. Doom, who then uses that to take over the whole world.
Check out One World Under Doom for more on that.
Correct. Goes really well for Doom.
Totally nothing bad happened.
Turns out he's just a nice guy. Misunderstood this entire time. So then in the previous volume, which just wrapped up here, actually I think it started in like March of this.
Well, yeah, because it was a mini series that was kind of like, oh, hey, Strangers and Sorcerers Supreme, what's he getting up to right now? And turns out he just moved to Asgard,
right?
As one does,
because apparently they need a Sorcerer Supreme, so why not just get a fill-in job in the meantime while you try to figure out, although he was dead for a second there too, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, he was dead for a bit. So then his wife took over and then he came back and they had some adventures. And
then he what's the first thing that you do as Sorcerer Supreme? Yeah, make a secret deal with Loki because that's going to work out well. Turns out it didn't. So Earth is now separated from the other 10 realms. So Strange is stuck in Asgard. He can move between the other realms there, but he cannot get back to Midgard.
Yeah. Check out Immortal Thor and Mortal Thor for more on that.
Right, yeah. And so also Thor is stuck over there, and everybody here, is mourning Thor's death. So they're leaderless right now, and they're just trying to figure out what all is going to happen. Well, Sif, I guess, is kind of acting as a proxy leader or somebody who's in leadership right now to kind of help bridge this gap, and does not trust Strange because now it's known that Strange made a deal with Loki, and like only an idiot would do that. So what do you do with Strange? Strange is still Sorcerer Supreme of Asgard. You got to do something. Well, send him away from Asgard to take care of problems elsewhere that could erupt into a bigger issue. So it's off to go hang out with Angela and some angels who have a conflict with a bunch of elves. It goes badly.
As these things are wont to do.
Yeah, so it turns out that there's an ancient elf sorcerer who was buried and maybe isn't quite as dead as everybody expected and is back. So we get a new villain, and the way that they use magic is really interesting. And this has kind of been a theme for Strange going back for quite a while now, in having to relearn magic or learn a different variation of magic or, so we'll see how this ends up going. Is Strange going to be able to adopt some of this, but, is having to use Asgardian magic as opposed to the magic that he's used to right now. So this is it's a pretty fast-paced read. Like, you get all of this kind of political intrigue and setup and whatever done really quickly. It's not dry or boring, and you get to quite a bit of action actually by the end of this book. And Angela swings a giant sword around and is pretty badass, and it's fun to read about. So this could be an interesting pairing with Strange. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. It does definitely have a lot of the kind of feel of the Asgardian interactions with other realms and how they kind of, I don't know, it's always tense and there's always some evil wizard somewhere that's plotting something. But, they keep doing it for a reason. It's fun.
Is your neighborhood not like that? Is there not an evil wizard plotting somewhere?
I live on a cul-de-sac, so I really can't say that evil wizard will come get me. There's no escape. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, well, speaking of plotting and people who, might not be dead, we've got...
now that's how you do it.
Yeah, there you go. Because we got a lot of people that are dead, but a few people that aren't quite as dead as we expected them to be.
Yeah, in Ultimate Universe, 2 years in. Similar to last year, they had Ultimate Universe 1 year, and it's a one-shot that's kind of like touching on some other like characters and sides of the Ultimate Universe that we haven't really gotten to like spend as much time with. But whereas that one was about like, oh, here's Ultimate Nick Fury, this is how it kind of fits into the whole thing with like the Makers Council and all that.
Yeah.
We're coming back to the Ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy, who we'd met previously in Ultimates, and this version is much more of like a Legion of Superheroes type group.
Yeah.
But because of the Makers' machinations, like the whole time stream has been like, I'm trying to think of like what's the best way to put it, like tossed in a blender.
Yeah.
And so in their attempts to like basically save the future, they've been scattered throughout time. Some of them are dead, some are just lost.
Yep.
And it's about this core group trying to like find as many of them as possible and either like try and fix the timeline or come back to the 21st century to help the Ultimates and the other heroes like stop the Maker there to possibly like create like a better future.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the interesting things, right? Is they're basically in kind of a life raft that's floating through time space right now. Mm-hmm. And they came from a future that was like a utopia.
Yeah.
What was it, 4,000 years of peace and prosperity or something
like that, yeah.
And so they obviously want to restore that because that fell apart. And there are kind of two options as they see it. They can try to split their timeline off from the Makers and just, create their own independent timeline again, or they can try to undo what the Makers done. And
neither of which seems like an easy proposition.
No, it turns out that changing reality is really difficult, even when you have amazing powers and access to, time and space and reality altering items, right? It does not, the use of those things doesn't go well either. But in their investigations about trying to better understand what the Maker has done so that they can try to counter that, they learned that the ripple effects might be much larger than what they expected. Or are they? Like this whole book just keeps pushing you in one direction and then dragging you back and saying, and over and over and over again. It's really kind of but when you're dealing with time and space and reality warping, that's a good way to do it.
And one of the things I love that this book uses all that like to do is to very much like deal with like what you want and expect reality to be versus like what it actually is. Like,
ooh, what a metaphor.
Yeah, like these characters having to kind of like at various points come to grips with the, like certain like things and people that you knew and loved and cared about and all this, like maybe they just don't exist like how you wanted them to. Maybe they're just gone. Yeah. Like it's very much about them having to like deal with just this kind of like nightmare scenario for them and just like how do they come out of it on the other side like still intact.
Well, and I think sometimes you have to change your expectations, and that's kind of what this book is about, right? Yeah, ultimately it's ultimately it's about what realistically can actually be done. What's the most good that you can do, not what's your best case scenario. Well, what's your best case scenario, not what is what you want. Yeah. It might not be what you want, but it might be the best you can get.
And it's also just kind of like cool having this whole then seen through the eyes of these characters that like are like obvious and in some regards like very similar to versions of these characters that we've seen before, but in other ways are like drastically different. Like we were talking about, like one of the big things with this is the introduction of Ultimate Daredevil, and without getting too into it, is a very different character than what you're probably expecting.
Aesthetically very Daredevil.
Yes.
In every other way, not so much.
Yeah, like there's ways like, but like it's very much doing the same thing. Like again, we talk about a lot with like this in the Absolute books of like taking something that like you're familiar with, but like doing a whole other different kind of thing with it. Because so like there's similar elements, like different like things about like like how their senses perceive reality and all that, but like again, very, very much still its like own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of artists on this book. Let me check the list here. But like, yeah, there's like a bunch of different people. But that particular section by Javier Pulido is probably like the most like interesting one visually, at least for me. Just like the way that his specific art style is used to like show you like how the Daredevil operates is really well done.
Yeah. Well, and it was really kind of a cool approach to make it feel like, you know, you're trying to bend reality, have reality look a little different because what was it, 5 artists?
Yeah, something like that. And each one kind of like has different like little sections that they tackle. Yeah. And I think they do a really good job because it's not like super homogenous where they all blend together, but it also isn't like super discordant with each other. Yeah. Like it almost feels like each one is kind of like a different day in the life of this crew, like trying to like get everything put back together.
Yeah. This was really fun. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in all of the Ultimate books over the next handful of issues. Yeah, because it's all coming to an end.
Yes,
and how is that going to be? What's going to happen? So this is a really good setup book. If you are planning on reading the end of the Ultimate Universe, then highly recommend that you read this so that you know these characters are going to get injected into that. So this is a good way to become familiar with them and their motivations for why they're going to do what they're going to do. Because I think we've got a pretty good idea of at least where they're going to show up now and what their basic plan is going to be going forward at the end of this, which through the entire book is all up in the air. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got 3 of our top picks here, but we read a lot of books. What was very close to making it up here?
It's like you were saying, it's a small week, but a lot of good stuff. Both Absolute Green Lantern and Ultimate X-Men were super good. Like, I think the closer we're getting to the end of all the books I'm going to be really sad to see go, Ultimate X-Men is probably the one that I'm just like, I really, really wish this one could have kept going. I really wanted to see what Momoko wanted to do with like a lot of these characters. Ultimate or Absolute Green Lantern, we kind of get to learn a little more about like how exactly Joe's powers work now with like the ring, how like some of the other like side characters are probably going to be very important going forward. Some familiar faces showing up. Some very literally in terms of faces. Yep. There's a new Hulk miniseries, Hulk Smashes Everything from Ryan Northout. That was a lot of fun. There's a great bit where someone gets hit with a frying pan. And it was kind of the whole reason I picked up the book, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I mean, as the title suggests, it's just the Hulk fighting a bunch of things. This month they're doing a bunch of one-shots for DCKO of like the various like characters fighting each other. This week was Superman versus Captain Atom, which I'll be honest, I mostly picked up just because I thought it was funny that Monarch shows up in it. Minor spoiler, don't worry, it's not too important. I mean, is and isn't. But like it was actually like a pretty enjoyable issue. Yeah. Like their whole thing of Superman trying to like be Superman, like be this like very like, no, we've got to like be better than this. And like Captain Atom is just like, I've been through so much. I don't care. I just want to win, basically. Yeah. Like, I've never had one. For all intents, I mean, you look at his history, like, he's not had a good life. Yeah.
And then he pulls Superman in the first round. Yeah. Like, typical.
But yeah, no, like, that was good. I'm looking, I wonder if that's picking up the computer making noises or not.
Oh, yeah, maybe. We're getting orders coming in.
Yeah. But yeah, no, those were both good. What else for you, Patrick?
G.I. Joe, I got a hankering for some grape soda now.
Tom Riley on that book his art is so good. Yeah. Just
Yeah, so like this is kind of our Texas Chainsaw Massacre / House of a Thousand Corpses kind of issue, you know. It's like, well, what are you gonna do if you've got this weird redneck band of Aussie biker gang guys riding through the country? I don't know, let's put a guy in a leather pig mask out in the middle of nowhere with a cinder block for a hammer, which, you know, obviously is a throwback to a real American hero character, Road Pig. And let's just turn him into... I think we might. Let's just turn him into Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only turn it down a little bit so that it's a little more, little less straight up murderous in a serial killer kind of way, and more just kind of a really weird dude. I don't know. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying this whole dynamic of Duke and Cobra Commander being, strange bedfellows right now. And we get some Cobra Commander sans mask in a dimly lit room, which just adds to the effect of it. It's so cool. The fact that I think my favorite sequence in a G.I. Joe book was just two guys having a conversation in a darkly lit room. Well, hung on a meat hook. It's so good. I just it's such a simple pleasure, but it's done so well. Yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. All right, well, we do this every single week. We read a whole bunch of comics so that you can hear our opinions. Why you care, I don't know. You should just buy all the comics and read them and share your opinions with us. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, stop on into your local comic shop and talk to the other people who are reading and enjoying, like us or other customers or what have you. We do have a comic club on Tuesday night. We should probably, invite people to that. Yeah. We also have kind of a game night happening on Tuesday nights as well. So a lot of Magic the Gathering, but people play some board games. Yeah, you can basically just bring whatever, and if you got people to play, just play. Yeah, for sure. So whether you're interested in talking comics or playing games or doing both, Tuesday nights are a good night to show up and hang out. Usually goes around 3-ish, 4-ish to 7 o'clock. And like I said, we'll be back next week having read a bunch more comics with more Pulp Picks. Until then, enjoy the reading. Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick. Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick. Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day.